Who better than me? Now, we come to the main event. To me, this literally saved the entire card from just being totally trash. But it was a big fight. It was a fight anyone in the sport of boxing who knows boxing was looking forward to. It was a fight that nobody, except for maybe Travis, thought was a foregone conclusion. And ultimately, I'll take 75% of the credit I'm due. I'll take 75% of my flowers because in my predictions video, I said that Oleksandr Usyk would win, and I had it rounds 10 to 11 stoppage. Now, he didn't get the stoppage, but when we look at the fight, it's quite clear that he could have at points. There were times where he shot in, was actually doing some good work, but then decided to shoot back out. And I've just watched a interview. I think it's on the press conference, the final press conference, the post-fight one, where basically he had said there was some times he was going to go for the knockout. He thought he was going to be able to get it, but his corner told him, no, you're trying to go for this knockout. It's throwing off your rhythm. You're starting to do things that are going to make it easier for you to now be able to get touched. Stick to the boxing, and if it comes later, it comes later. And as we saw, by the time the 12th round came around, he was on the verge of it. If there was, say, another 20 to 30 seconds in that fight, he probably would have been able to get it. But before I get into my overall thoughts of the fight itself, I want to say massive credit to Anthony Joshua. I don't want anyone to look at this defeat and say, oh, he's a hype job. Or he wasn't that good anyway. Or he should have done this, or he should. Look, at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua was taking chances. He was building a legacy to be great, to go in there with people that most other boxers would not go in there for unless there was something on the line. Like, I legit do not think that any top 10 / top 15 heavyweight, unless there was a world title or 10 plus million pounds, dollars, whatever on the line, would fight Oleksandr Usyk. And Joshua took him as a mandatory when he could have avoided that. He could have had a run out fight. Just, oh, we're back in front of a crowd. He probably could have fought someone ranked 15th in any of his sanctioning bodies and just got rid of the WBO belt. And then just waited on either Fury or Wilder, who quite frankly I don't even think he's going to get to face now. Because the money that they're going to want, I don't know if the fight is as big now that he suffered 2 losses. Especially if Fury beats Wilder in the rematch. It's going to be a case of, well, now I'm the A side, but Joshua's probably still going to generate the most amount of money. But that whole 150 million that they was talking before, now we're talking now 70, maybe 80 million. Are they going to want to risk it for that? Because ultimately, I still believe that Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury. I still believe that Anthony Joshua beats Deontay Wilder. Or do I? Here's the thing. Looking at that fight, it gave me some vibes of the Pulev fight, where I said in my predictions video, there were points where Pulev was literally backing AJ up. Even after AJ had basically dominated the first 3 rounds, he was starting to get pushed back, backed up round sort of 4, 5, and 6 with Pulev, even bits of round 7. some people, oh no, he's just on the back foot, he's just boxing smart. Like, no, he was visibly worried about taking shots, which is weird because if you look at Pulev's record prior to that, it was 29 fights, 28 victories, but only 14 KOs, which tells you that ultimately he's not a puncher. He's not a devastating knockout artist. He's not someone that stops a lot of people. He boxes. He wins that match. So there's no real need to box with him. And in this fight, it seems as if AJ came with that same game plan of, all right, I want to box with him to not risk getting clipped, which ultimately was a huge mistake. I said to people, him coming in, even though it says he was 240 pounds, he was fully clothed when he got on the scales. So he was probably closer to like 236, 237. For someone like him, yeah, okay, you may be worried about the gas tank and the stamina, but you naturally need to be a bit bigger. Like 244, 243 to sort of 245, I reckon is his sweet spot. Yeah. That is where you get the imposing size, you still got the speed, you got the movement, and you've got that power that translates. In that particular situation, I would have said AJ would have had enough to use more of his physical attributes on Oleksandr Usyk. At this particular point, he was, say he was about a stone. I would say he was maybe a stone heavier than Usyk in the ring. Not 20 pounds, I would say 14 to 15 max. But in the clinch, he was sort of getting pushed about by Usyk. I told people that even though Joshua should be better on the outside, Usyk is actually better on the outside than him. And again, he showed it. A guy with the smaller reach, out jabbed you and out landed you with the straight left from the outside position. Mid range, Joshua was having his best success, as I said he would. But inside, where the bigger guy should theoretically be better because you can put your weight on him while you're trying to work away and get off the body shots, Usyk was winning the inside as well. So just like I said in my prediction video, the inside and the outside game is actually going to benefit Usyk. Joshua needed to stamp his foot in the middle of the ring, make Usyk do the movements, make him have to move. You simply just readjust your feet with him. When he comes in, hard shots to the body. Forget trying to go for the head, body, chest, stomach, shoulders. Even if you got to hit him on the arms, like that's literally what you do. So he has to keep circling, and then once he eventually is going to tire, if you're hitting him with enough shots to the body, he's going to tire. Because there were several shots in the, I think it was around 7 and 8, where Joshua started hitting Usyk to the body, and Usyk was complaining some of them was low. Some of them may have been a little bit, but you could see they were visibly distressing him. I said Usyk does not like it to the body. So that should have been the game plan. Plant your feet and just attack the body. Forget the head, especially for the first sort of 4, 5, 6 rounds. However, the fight also played out, like I said in my predictions video, Usyk would have to employ a high risk strategy of almost jumping on Anthony Joshua first couple of rounds. So making Joshua have to work more than he wanted to in those first couple. And then after sort of rounds 3, moving off a little bit. Like dropping back, moving, making AJ then have to come to you a bit more. Pretty much how I said it would go, just to sort of drain the tank. Now, it wasn't, round for round perfect, exactly as I explained. But ultimately, he implemented the game plan that I envisioned, to the point where then you start to pick up sort of rounds 8 and 9, where the mental, sort of the mental side of it is going to start taxing and being probably more draining than the physical gas tank. And then that's what I've believed, that he would do enough damage to where the 10th round comes and he gets a stoppage. Now, I think in those later rounds, if Anthony Joshua was more aggressive, he probably would have got stopped, because he would have walked onto something very similar to how he did in round 3, where Usyk literally caught him. Like, I think it was right here between the back of the jaw, base of the neck, and you saw like Anthony Joshua, like involuntary, his arm just went straight here before he stumbled. Like, it's almost like Usyk hit a nerve, which just made the arm fly up. And he was hitting him with those kind of shots pretty much all night. Now, I'm not sure how Usyk got the cut just above the eye, but the way it swelled, it looks like it wasn't from a punch. So I need to actually watch that back and kind of figure out where that one came. But obviously, Joshua landed some good shots overall. There were some rounds where he won them quite clean, but you could kind of see that even within those rounds, he was probably having to work a lot more than he was expecting to work. He could have made the fight simpler, in my mind. Again, bigger guy using the natural advantages. But ultimately, as I said, Usyk is levels above him boxing wise, skill wise, IQ wise, and he's got enough power to keep him honest, as others had stated before the fight. So we come to a rematch. Joshua says he's going to take the rematch. I'm not sure how he gets the rematch done, especially if he doesn't put on a little bit extra size and just try to walk him down. Just hands up, say, okay, whatever comes at me, but I'm gonna pressure you, and essentially I'm just gonna go hell for leather for the first 6-7 rounds and see what I can do. I think that would be his best strategy, but I'll save that for another video at another time. I just want to talk about the card. The main event was a great main event. It was tactical, but it was action packed as well. It was intriguing. It showed you different levels of IQ, but it also showed you heart. Both guys deserve amazing credit, because there were several shots Usyk took where a lesser guy, probably maybe a guy who'd suffered a defeat before, might have said, "Nah, this is long. This ain't the kind of power I want to be feeling. All right, you know what? I'm good. I got my 10, 15 million dollars or pounds or what currency they was using. Yeah, it's fine. I can set off saying I gave it a shot." And likewise with Joshua, getting peppered round after round after round, saying you couldn't see it out of the right eye after 9 rounds. You say to yourself, boy, this is long. This is Andy Ruiz all over again. Let me, I can bow out now, like I've made my money. But no, carried on. Warrior stayed to the end. Almost got stopped in the 12th round, but at least still had enough about him to say, no, let me try and ride this out, ride the wave. And the right man won. There was no funny business on the scorecards, except for Howard Foster's scorecard. Like, when you just hear the 115, 113, you say, okay, so he thinks it was 7 rounds to 5. When I actually looked at the scorecard and some of the rounds that he gave to Joshua, I was like, oh, you was really trying to use some home cooking. Like, you really wanted some home cooking in this fight, didn't you? But it's to the fact Usyk made it so convincing that there weren't even enough rounds that Howard Foster could try and give a draw, let alone an AJ victory. And again, I know a lot of people don't agree with going into someone's backyard and having to physically take the belt from them. You should just be allowed to win. If you've just about done enough to win, you should still win. But Usyk clearly doesn't subscribe to that notion. He is very much a person that will go to your back garden and make it so that nobody can chat shit. You, I am here to take this, and I will take it from you. You know, I'm not hoping I get it. I am taking it, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. And ultimately, I mean, for me, quite frankly, this has to make him pound for pound number one. I know we can talk about other weight class and weight divisions, but if we look at the basic principles of what the pound for pound status was about, it was about if everyone was the same size, who would fare best against the heavyweight champion. Well, ultimately, coming up from cruiserweight, from a division that's 200 pounds, giving up essentially 40 pounds in size, plus 3 inches in height, 4 inches in reach, and still dominating the champion at heavyweight. There's no one else within that pound for pound list that's actually done anything similar or would be able to do now what Usyk just did. Plus being the undisputed cruiserweight champion before. And a lot of people want to talk about, oh, but yeah, he didn't look good against Chaz Witherspoon. He didn't look good against Derek Chisora. He didn't need to. See that? I think that's what people forget. I tried to say this to several people beforehand, but it's like I think some people just live in the moment. They live in the here and now, and they're very much on this "what have you done for me lately" kick, which is cool. But Chaz Witherspoon, last minute replacement. It was just a feel out fight into the division, nothing major. Didn't look great, didn't need to, didn't come out of first gear, got the stoppage round 7 because Witherspoon didn't come off his stool for the 8th round. Right, Derek Chisora, bearing in mind that Oleksandr Usyk is already the mandatory. Again, there's no real need to kick into the high gears. He probably stayed in gears 1 and 2 against Chisora. I don't particularly believe that he respected Chisora enough as an opponent that would cause him damage to take the fight super serious. He trains, he keeps mentally composed. Obviously, he wanted to put on a convincing statement, but I reckon he made that fight harder than it needed to be. But it was only hard for 3 rounds, and that's just the first 3 rounds because Derek is a very front foot heavy first third fighter. Like the first 4 rounds, they give you hell. You get through those, and he's yours for the taking. And ultimately, I think that's basically how that fight broke down. Derek came out heavy, came out swinging. Usyk was expecting that. Maybe he tried to sort of fight him at his fight. He even said in the maybe I shouldn't have. But ultimately, I'm going to worked on the jab. Um, picked his shots, picked him apart after sort of the first 3-4 rounds. Clear, convincing. Probably didn't come out of second gear, maybe third, but coming up against someone like AJ, who we knew he was going to have to be, he was going to have to be on top form against. You saw him in gears 4 and 5. Maybe he's still got more gears to go after that. Who knows? But yeah, those 2 fights, they didn't really mean much because ultimately he was only looking for one fight. He didn't need to win those fights well in order to get a title shot or get an opportunity. He was already the mandatory. His title shot was coming regardless. So there's no need to show everything. But yeah, definitely great performance. Great main event. Both guys deserve massive, massive credit. And I'm looking forward to the rematch. Does give me a little dilemma though. Previously I said I'm not watching Fury Wilder 3. Number one, because I didn't need to see it. No one wanted it. And ultimately, I just thought it was nothing more than another delay tactic to stop the Undisputed and to keep sort of running from AJ and freezing him out of the division. But now, with what's happened with Usyk, and now knowing that we're definitely going to have the rematch and that fight definitely can't be next anyway, I might be changing my mind on watching that fight. Especially as I actually do want to watch the undercard, because for an event of that level, questionable what level you claim it to be, but An event of that level, that undercard is stacked, and I did want to watch that. I just didn't want to put money into that promotion. But do me a favor, leave some comments in the comment section for me, or hit me up on Twitter, or even like my WhatsApp if you got that, and tell me whether I should watch that fight or not. And yeah, I'll consider, and I'll give you my opinion on the later episode. But for now, I want to just say thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, you're awesome. Um, Again, like and subscribe, share this with a friend, and I will see you on the next one. But for now, Hardcore Casual out.